The magnificent kingdom of Cerebes shines. At Crown Prince Alexei's 19th birthday festival, a shocking announcement begins. Two noble women formally request the dissolution of their royal engagement. Crown Prince Alexei von Cerebes is completely bewildered by the sudden request. A blonde woman, Sasha Landrol, introduces herself as the kingdom's worst villainess and promises to explain everything. Her adopted sister with pink hair, Nastasia Landrol, looks on in surprise. Sasha winks playfully as a flustered Nastasia denies being a saint. Sasha accuses the prince of loving her stepsister, but an annoyed Alexei denies it. She theatrically confesses to harassing her sister out of jealousy. She recalls petty transgressions, like a slightly torn textbook, as evidence of her villainy. Triumphant, she presents a signed document as irrefutable proof of her claims. The handwritten letter details her supposed wrongdoings. Though he doesn't understand, the prince quietly commends her performance. Sasha beams, her plan seemingly succeeding. She announces the final act, a plan to unite the prince with Saint Nastasia. A tense silence falls over the grand hall as everyone awaits the prince's response. The crown prince remains impassive, his expression unreadable. Sasha wears a confident smirk while Nastasia appears deeply worried. The crowd's gossip validates Sasha's plan, and she thinks everything is going perfectly. She warns the prince that arguing will only complicate the situation. With a sharp retort, the prince refuses, calling her an idiot and grabbing his sword. Her indignant claims of being a prodigy only seem to prove his point. He towers over her, their confrontation escalating. His harsh demeanor suddenly softens into a gentle, knowing smile. A sudden grab changes the atmosphere completely. He pulls a stunned Sasha into a firm, unexpected embrace. He smiles, confidently asking for her agreement, leaving her flustered. A new story begins. A flashback introduces the celebrated hero, Crown Prince Alexei von Cerebes. At their first meeting, 9-year-old Alexei bluntly calls 8-year-old Sasha boring-looking. A frustrated young prince demands a more interesting fiancée from Chancellor Max McCain. The young prince asks for party tricks, which the chancellor dismisses as unbefitting of royalty. Young Sasha's heroic image of the famed sword prodigy is quickly shattered. After he yawns, she concludes that his intelligence is utterly pathetic. The prince sighs with boredom, having decided she has no entertaining skills. Sasha smirks, privately thinking he is the one who is a bore. She sarcastically asks if his brain is made of muscle, to which he gives a ridiculously literal denial. Walking with the chancellor, Sasha has a sudden realization about her true purpose. She wildly speculates her role is to control the prince, but the chancellor quickly dismisses her dangerous thoughts. He instructs her to never speak ill of the crown prince's personality. When she bluntly asks if she must hide his empty head, the chancellor confirms the importance of the royal image. The chancellor explains her duty is to showcase the prince's good qualities, leaving Sasha to wonder what those could possibly be. He places a reassuring hand on her shoulder, guiding her. Just as he said, Sasha witnesses Alexei's innate kindness and fairness firsthand. Inspired, Sasha embraces her future as a noble queen who will guide the country. From that day on, Sasha took charge of assisting the wild child Alexei. Her efforts to civilize him were met with constant, frustrating challenges. But over time, she successfully taught him to wear the mask of a prince. And then, the time came for him to ride away. At age 14, Alexei achieved a historic military victory, earning the title Heroic Sword Saint. The prince's noble reputation grew far beyond Sasha's expectations. While having tea, Sasha overhears news of a girl with prophetic dreams. Her parents, Igor and Nastasia Landrol, confirm the girl is a 16-year-old commoner. Her mother recounts how the girl's vision of a typhoon saved the harvest, proving her power. Sasha recognizes that such a talent would be a national treasure. The legendary power to prophesy the future is revealed through the silhouette of a pink-haired girl. A flashback explains how the world's magic, once common, has faded over time. Ancient tradition dictates that those with prophetic dreams are adopted by nobles and betrothed to royalty. Sasha remains skeptical, knowing most claims of magical power are fraudulent. She looks at her smiling parents, suddenly realizing their plan. A new girl with pinkish hair formally introduces herself as Nasha. Nasha humbly vows to bring no shame to her new ducal family. Her parents are utterly captivated by Nasha's charm, but Sasha remains stone-faced. Sasha's thoughts remain fixed on whether the girl's power is real. The crucial question remains, is her power genuine? Nasha privately assesses her new parents as unreliable and resolves to judge them herself, then sweetly asks her new big sister to care for her. Stunned, Sasha watches as Nasha seamlessly adapts to her new life. After her lessons, Nasha enrolls in the Royal Academy alongside Sasha. Nasha's humble and kind nature quickly captivates everyone at the academy. While Nasha thrives, Sasha watches from a distance, her doubts lingering. She questions Nasha's powers, but her doubts are about to be erased. Nasha approaches the headmaster with an important announcement. She recounts a prophetic dream, warning him of a dangerous flood during an upcoming student trip. Her prophecies work within a 24-hour window, and with her family's influence, the headmaster postpones the training. The next day, a torrential downpour causes the river to flood, just as she had foreseen. Hailed as a savior by her classmates, Nazca is soon revered as the saint of the academy. As Nasha's fame grows, Sasha receives some shocking news of her own. An anonymous survey reveals her crushing unpopularity, with 87 labeling her a villainess. She reels in shock at just how low her popularity has sunk. A voice off-screen bluntly tells Sasha she is harsh and easily misunderstood. Victor Emile Ramblanc teasingly reminds her of an incident where she made another student cry. Admitting Victor is right, she laments how her reputation as a villainess worsens, as Nasha is hailed a saint. Public opinion now favors Nasha for crown princess, leaving Sasha to contemplate the consequences of her own failing reputation. She realizes a villainess and a muscle-brained prince would ruin the kingdom, and concludes they must leverage Nasha's popularity, sacrificing their own hard work. With newfound resolve, she stands and declares her decision to Victor. Her eyes gleam with determination as she names her plan, Operation Crown Princess Switcheroo. The next day, a weary Sasha waits on a sunlit veranda. A maid offers to refill her tea as she waits. Believing the prince will arrive soon, she reflects on her lifelong training for this role. Her hand trembles with irritation as she notes he is already late. A figure approaches as she silently fumes over the muscle-brained prince's tardiness. Prince Alexei finally arrives, calling out to her with his shirt wide open. Wham! The sudden sight gives a stunned Sasha a nosebleed. He casually sits down, completely oblivious to her shock as she struggles to speak. She internally scolds his indecent attire, finding his muscular display to be an utter eyesore. She realizes he forgot their meeting, because he was caught up in a death match with his knights. He cheerfully confirms her suspicions, leaving her at a loss for words. Leaning back, he asks if he can't just relax and be himself around her. She watches him, acknowledging to herself that he does have many responsibilities. Prince Alexei begins to offer her something. A flustered Sasha wonders what's happening. He presents a gift box, confirming it's for her. Sasha cautiously asks if she may open it. Looking away, the prince casually agrees. She opens the box, confused by its contents. Calling him a muscle brain, Sasha mispronounces his title while he corrects her, stating his name is Alexei. He cheerfully recommends a boiled gecko's tail for fatigue. He gently pokes her forehead, telling her to stop frowning. Waving goodbye, he promises to see her next week. Convinced the man is hopeless, Sasha's story continues into Chapter 2. The scene shifts to the magnificent Royal Academy. Sasha explains to Victor her frustration with the prince expecting her to engage in power struggles instead of public relations. She declares her resolve to proceed with the Crown Princess swap operation. She predicts the lazy prince will instantly agree to the swap to avoid trouble. Therefore, she concludes faking a conflict is the best option. Her plan is to create a fake romance between the prince and Nastasia, then spread rumors that she, Sasha, is bullying her sister out of jealousy, a story that will spread quickly thanks to her existing reputation. At the prince's birthday celebration, she will confess and demand to break the engagement. She believes the public pressure will force even the trouble-averse prince to agree to the annulment. Victor expresses his doubts, but Sasha remains perfectly confident. She insists she needs his cooperation for her plan to succeed. She pleads with him to record everything, as an archduke's endorsement would be undeniable evidence. Her friend Victor wryly notes her willingness to exploit his authority. A family tree reveals Victor is an archduke, born to the late king and a concubine. He is also revealed to be Prince Alexei's popular younger uncle. Sasha desperately begs for his help. Victor smiles and reluctantly agrees to her plan. In Operation 1, Sasha theatrically points out that Nastasia's textbook and notebook are torn. Nastasia calmly thanks her, claiming her hand must have slipped. In Operation 2, Sasha dramatically points out dust on Nastasia's clothes. During Operation 3, Sasha publicly insults Nastasia, who gracefully accepts it as a compliment, leaving Victor embarrassed. Though her methods were ridiculous, they worked because of her pre-existing villainous image. A rumor begins that the villainous Sasha Landrol is bullying her kind sister, The gossip quickly spreads from the academy to the nobles of the capital. Back at her family's estate, Sasha is approached by her mother. Her mother confronts her about the recent rumors she's been hearing. Sasha smirks, cheerfully confirming the villainous rumors. She inwardly celebrates her plan's success, preparing to praise Nastasia's suitability. She clenches her fist, knowing she cannot defend herself without ruining everything. She stands alone, resolved in her gilded cage. A memory of Alexei's gentle smile flashes by. As the damaging rumors continue to spread, Sasha remains resolute. King Nikolai von Cerebes reveals that Victor has told him about the rumors. At a formal meeting, the king questions her about the unpleasant rumors. Sasha mentally congratulates Victor, who thinks the situation is a pain. She assures the king that it is all part of her plan. With a confident smile, Sasha reveals she will request to annul their engagement. The shocked king questions her decision to annul the engagement. She explains a more suitable woman for the role has appeared, presenting Nastasia. The king dismisses the idea, stating he still believes Sasha is the most suitable choice. Sasha explains this is how things stand at present. She argues that the people will clearly support the pure saint over the cold-blooded villainess. The king agrees to her plan, much to Sasha's delight. He gives his condition. The prince must agree to the annulment, though he doubts she can persuade him. In a flash of foresight, Prince Alexei holds Sasha close, flatly rejecting any talk of breaking their engagement. Dejected, Sasha walks alone, surprised by the firmness of his refusal. She resolves to wear him down, but overhears gossip about the recent ball. Two nobles recount how the villainous Sasha bullied Nastasia over a dance, a misrepresentation Sasha realizes works to her advantage. While Sasha ignores the exaggerated rumors, a magical force gathers above an unsuspecting Nastasia. Suddenly, water splashes down on Nastasia, causing a stir as she calmly reassures everyone she's fine. The harassment intensifies, clearly orchestrated, leaving Sasha and Victor shocked. Sasha observes Nastasia walking alone down a corridor, finding it unusual. Victor sarcastically suggests childish bullying tactics, which only annoys Sasha. He winks, jokingly suggesting she could push Nastasia down the stairs. Sasha scolds him for the criminal thought, just as a piercing scream echoes through the hall. From the top of the stairs, Sasha looks down in shock to see Nastasia collapsed on the floor below. Rushing to her side, Sasha worries that someone actually pushed her sister. Onlooking students glare down, calling Sasha a hypocrite for pretending to care. The crowd accuses Sasha of being the culprit, declaring her unfit to be crowned princess and demanding she step aside for Nastasia. As Sasha helps her up, Nastasia thanks her sister with a pained, yet strangely knowing glance. Sasha stares in stunned silence, realizing her plan has spiraled out of her control. Later, Victor asks after Nastasia, and Sasha reports that she only suffered a light bruise. Victor finds the incident strange, wondering aloud who would actually want to harm Nastasia. He suggests to a shocked Sasha that she might be the real target. Victor theorizes someone is framing Sasha to ruin her engagement, but wonders who would benefit more from this than Sasha herself. Sasha dismisses his theory, arguing that, to the nobles, it makes little difference which Landrel daughter becomes princess. Worried, she insists they must get Alexei to agree to the swap so Nastasia can receive proper protection. The scene shifts to a grand, sunlit castle surrounded by roses. At the prince's birthday party, Sasha serenely proposes they annul their engagement. Prince Alexei, looking bored, flatly denies her request. Annoyed, he accuses her of ruining his birthday party. He refuses to replace his fiancée with a sister he barely knows. Sasha's surprised reaction catches Alexei completely off guard. With a triumphant smile, Sasha declares she has his word, leaving him flustered and confused. Alexei slumps onto the table in defeat, lamenting that everything is the worst, while Sasha calmly questions him. Sasha beams, overjoyed at her apparent victory. He accuses her of acting, but she simply thinks about the play they are going to see. The prince is formally greeted as he arrives at their destination. Sasha is surprised to see Nastasia has joined them for the outing. Alexei claims he wanted Nastasia to see the play, but Sasha knows this is the perfect opportunity she secretly arranged for him to get to know her sister. As her brilliant plan unfolds, a confused chibi Alexei wonders if he ever said he wanted to know Nastasia. Step 1 of her plan: take Alexei and Nastasia to the theater. Sasha's 3-step plan is revealed. Orchestrate a theater date where Alexei and Nastasia are dressed like a couple, then leave them alone in the royal box. Sasha internally congratulates herself on her perfect plan. Prince Alexei sits in the carriage, looking thoroughly displeased. Sasha asks about his bad mood as their carriage arrives at the bustling theater. Inside, Sasha pointedly turns away from the brooding prince. The prince returns her gesture with an equally dismissive glare. As he offers a hand to help her, she inwardly scolds the muscle-brained prince for his scowling face. Prince Alexei catches Nastasia as she stumbles, her cry echoing through the garden. Sasha cries out her sister's name as Alexei rushes to help the fallen Nastasia. A sharp pain radiates from Nastasia's ankle as she winces. Alexei suggests a doctor as Nastasia apologizes to a bewildered Sasha for the commotion. As onlookers murmur, Alexei calls for a carriage, while Sasha offers to come along. Nastasia gently tells her sister not to worry, reminding her she was looking forward to the play. She urges them both to enjoy the performance, and Sasha reluctantly agrees. With tears welling in her eyes, Sasha asks the prince to please take care of Nastasia. Prince Alexei looks on with a serious expression and silently agrees. Sasha stands alone, watching somberly as the carriage carries her sister away. A new scene presents a red-haired girl, followed by a recruitment notice for translators and editors. Overhearing gossip, Sasha listens as nobles praise the hero prince and Saint Nastasia, calling them a perfect pair. Overwhelmed by the day's events, Sasha simply wishes she could go home. Victor appears, kindly offering Sasha a glass of wine as he calls her name. He warmly invites her to join him and his mother, noting it's no fun being alone. Sasha smiles gratefully but declines, explaining she cannot leave the royal box empty. Victor watches from a distance, giving a small wave of understanding. A grand estate marks the beginning of a new chapter as a voice offers thanks. Victor smiles, telling Sasha he will see her again tomorrow. In a cute chibi exchange, Victor nags Sasha not to stay up late reading in bed. Annoyed but fond, Sasha tells him she gets it already, patting his hand. As they part ways for the evening, Sasha thanks Victor for bringing her home. He responds with a gentle and understanding smile. Victor wishes Sasha a good night as his grand carriage prepares to depart. Slam! Inside her room, Sasha reflects that her plan succeeded in leaving Alexei and Nastasia alone together. Though she reasons they must have grown closer, she feels an undeniable heaviness in her heart. Her thoughts drift back to a small incident 8 years ago that changed her relationship with Alexei. She recalls the first gift she ever gave him, her hand trembling as she held it. In a flashback, a young Sasha pleads with the departing young Alexei to accept her present. 10-year-old Sasha reminds him the history teacher is waiting, urging him to return. As he runs away, she fumes, calling the muscle-headed prince a coward who only knows how to flee. Desperate, she tries to lure him back by shouting about his favorite pudding being nearby. She hopes he'll fall for the obvious trick. But a skeptical chibi Alexei sees right through it. Her ruse fails as he ignores her completely, leaving her looking dejected. She screams in frustration, annoyed that the airheaded prince suddenly becomes clever when he wants to escape. A gentle wash of yellow flowers transitions the scene. Panting, a young Sasha stands on a balcony, searching for the runaway prince. A guard informs Miss Landroll that His Highness has once again disappeared. The guard explains that, as usual, the prince slipped away from the castle. Knowing about the hidden passage he uses, Sasha resolves to bring Alexei back herself. She makes her request to the guard, who seems to permit her departure with a rustle of leaves. With determined eyes, she stands at the entrance to the secret passage. She spots him in the town below, talking with a tall, unfamiliar man. Sasha scolds him for skipping his studies, but he just greets her with a cheerful hello. He excitedly explains his plan to get giant pudding from the pâtissier, leaving Sasha utterly stunned. A wave of unease washes over Sasha as she notices the smell of tobacco and a knife at the man's hip. Sensing danger, Prince Alexei quickly pulls Sasha behind him, shielding her from the man. Sasha realizes the man is a kidnapper, just as Alexei tells her to go back to class and the man smirks. In a flash, the kidnapper grabs Sasha, holding a knife to her throat. The kidnapper confirms her suspicion with a smirk, holding the knife steady. The man warns Prince Alexei not to act recklessly, threatening to slit Sasha's throat before ordering them into the carriage. This kidnapping, a calculated act, is revealed to be the beginning of the next major incident in their lives. A credits page for Sherpa Studio signals a brief pause in the story. Thud! Bound and unconscious, Sasha and Alexei lie together on the floor. The kidnapper mockingly welcomes them to their new room as they are led inside, with Alexei sighing in resignation. Sasha glares at Alexei, angrily telling him to cut it out. Alexei defensively asks why she's blaming him, arguing it's her fault for being provocative. The scene flashes back to the initial confrontation, where Sasha recognizes the man as a known kidnapper of noble children. Sasha apologizes, but insists that if His Majesty had just attended class, none of this would have happened. Now tied up together, Alexei says it's no time to argue, and Sasha dryly agrees. since they're being kidnapped. Prince Alexei plans to reveal his status to get them released, but Sasha suggests they pretend he's the son of a wealthy baron instead of the crown prince. Sasha gravely warns him that they will be killed if their true identities are discovered. She explains that kidnapping a royal guarantees a death sentence, so their captors would kill them to eliminate all evidence. The grim reality of their situation finally sinks in for a somber Prince Alexei. Sasha notes with a sigh that even in a crisis, he's still the same as always. She calls out to him, and he looks up from his thoughts, responding with a simple, With a sudden bright smile, Sasha proposes they think of something fun to do. Prince Alexei stares back, utterly bewildered by her cheerful suggestion. A confused question mark pops over his head as Sasha asks what he just said, baffled by his silence. Sasha explains that talking about sweets has energized her and made her remember something, prompting Alexei to ask what it is. Prince Alexei proudly announces that he recently practiced how to dislocate his arm joints. Stunned into silence, Sasha can only wonder what he's talking about. And so, having easily escaped his bonds, Alexei stands triumphantly over the unconscious kidnapper. A promotional page marks the end of the chapter. Having escaped, the two have made it safely back to the center of town. Sasha remarks that His Highness is blessed with incredible luck, or perhaps a rather unique power. Chibi versions of the two bicker, with Sasha denying she's praising him and Alexei retorting that he doesn't care. Sasha looks up at him, caught off guard by his next words. Prince Alexei smiles warmly, telling her she's the one who perfectly complements his shortcomings. He extends his hand, formally asking her to become his other half and rule beside him as an equal. Sasha is shocked, having always believed her role as crown princess was to be a subordinate. She had thought her job was merely to serve and assist the crown prince, but this person, the prince himself, recognizes her as his equal. Overjoyed, Sasha accepts his proposal, vowing they will become great rulers together. They face each other, sealing their promise with a smile. At that moment, he swore to support her as his princess for life, and they made one more promise. Floating above the castle, they agree the kidnapping must remain an absolute secret, terrified of being grounded for 3 years. The narration reveals that upon their return, they were thoroughly scolded by the adults for their long absence anyway. Later, as Sasha waits for her ride, Alexei presents her with a tin of candies. Inside the ornate box was a single, sparkling green candy, a treasure Sasha keeps to this day. The flashback ends as Sasha muses that the candy is likely inedible by now. She clutches the box, cherishing it as the first gift she ever received from him. Back in the present, her parents call her name, interrupting her reverie. Sasha greets her mother and father, who question her about seeing the play alone after hearing the news from Nastasia. Sasha confirms their story, and her parents scold her for returning late while her sister was injured, revealing the prince himself escorted Nastasia home. Sasha listens in stunned disbelief. Her father, assuming she's worried, says he is going to check on Nastasia. As she walks away, Sasha reflects that she stayed behind because she felt Nastasia was better suited to be his fiancé, but now feels that her long time as crown princess has made her arrogant, though she knows the prince helped her sister. Being accused by her parents of being a cold sister makes her chest tighten with pain. A pink-haired woman with a bandaged ankle sits on her bed, looking startled by a sound. Sasha appears in the doorway, asking how her sister Natasha's injury is. Natasha apologizes for causing trouble at the play, but Sasha tells her there's no need to apologize. Internally, Sasha regrets not acting more like a villainess and scolding Natasha for ruining the play. She chastises herself for being too soft. Natasha recounts how she refused his help many times, but he ended up carrying her anyway, prompting Sasha to think he's a barbarian. Seeing Natasha's happy expression, however, Sasha wonders if things might be going well after all. Sasha asks Natasha to honestly share her opinion of His Highness. Blushing, Natasha praises him as a wonderful person who treats her as an individual, despite her commoner origins. Sasha smiles, asking if this means Natasha has feelings for him. Natasha frantically denies any intention of stealing Sasha's fiancé, but Sasha argues that Natasha's prophetic dreams make her perfectly suited to be crown princess. Natasha humbly insists she could never manage such a role and would be happy just to support them from the shadows. Sasha smiles, calling her sister a true saint and admiring her modesty. She envisions the Saint of Prophetic Dreams and the Sword Saint Hero as the ultimate combination for the nation. With the people's support, she believes they would become the greatest monarchs in history. Sasha reaffirms her decision, believing she is doing the right thing to help him achieve that greatness. As she watches her sister through the window, she admits that for some reason, the decision doesn't feel satisfying. Natasha gets her attention, smiling as she prophesies that it will rain tomorrow. Sasha asks if she is certain, and Natasha confirms from inside her room. Trusting her sister's prophecy, Sasha's thoughts are interrupted by a sinister vision of Natasha with glowing purple eyes and a wicked smile. A dark, ominous energy fills the scene. A notice announces a recruitment drive for translators, proofreaders, and editors. A new chapter introduces Victor Emile Longlane, a man blessed with a sharp mind and handsome features, who lived freely from a young age. However, there was one thing he could never obtain: the royal crown. In a flashback, a proper young Victor sits beside a bored and slouching young Prince Alexei on their respective thrones. Victor reflects on Alexei's rough manners, unconsciously believing he could do a better job as the crown prince. As a boy, he dreamed of mastering manners and culture to steer the country in a better direction. His eyes reveal a deep, unwavering determination. However, he insists he is not foolish enough to harbor treasonous thoughts. After Alexei single-handedly ended a war, Victor acknowledged him as his sovereign and swore his heartfelt loyalty. He accepts that he can never match Alexei in military affairs, and therefore can never become king. Resigning himself to not giving it his all, his life changed at the moment he met a young Sasha, who cautiously addresses him as Your Grace. She admonishes him, warning that developing a habit of doing things half-heartedly will only hurt him in the long run. Victor is stunned, realizing it's the first time anyone has ever admonished him like that. He felt as if she had seen straight through the part of him that had given up. Handing her a letter, he sincerely asks if she would be his friend. He smiles fondly at the memory, recalling his immediate desire to be friends with her. That encounter gave him a new mission: to govern the Grand Duchy and improve the lives of his people. The memory of a younger Sasha laughing joyfully among yellow flowers fills his thoughts. Back in the present, it rains at the grand estate as Victor's mother notes his good mood. She leans forward, asking if he has finally decided to get engaged. Victor is caught completely off guard by her question. He quickly recovers, giving his mother a playful wink as he agrees she might be right. His mother becomes ecstatic, eagerly pressing him for details about the high-ranking noble. Saying he's off, Victor walks away, leaving his mother to desperately call after him for a hint. As he reaches the grand doors, he thinks to himself that it's not a situation he can explain to her yet. His ornate carriage waits in the rain as he wistfully remembers how beautiful the full moon was the night before. His thoughts turn to Sasha, and he wonders if she was all right after he left. He smiles warmly, reflecting that it's funny she thinks of herself as a cold-blooded villainess when she's really just a busybody. Victor boards his ornate carriage as rain pours down. He scoffs internally, thinking Sasha is a waste on the muscle-brained crown prince. Sitting inside, Victor smugly wonders what he's even thinking. Fwish! A blade flashes through the air. Ika's sword is suddenly at Victor's neck as a sinister voice says, "Hey." Victor is stunned to see Prince Alexei, asking why he's there after mistaking him for a robber. Alexei smiles, asking Victor if he's the culprit. Panicked, Victor begs him to put the scary sword away. Alexei holds the sword to Victor's throat, accusing him of harassing the adopted daughter of the Landrel ducal house. Victor is speechless with shock. Realizing Alexei suspects him of bullying Natasha, Victor frantically denies the accusation. Alexei reveals his reasoning, asking if it's because Victor is in love with Sasha. Alexei theorizes that Victor resents Natasha for threatening Sasha's position, but Victor tearfully denies it. Blushing furiously, Victor demands Alexei stop exposing his innocent crush. Damn it! Overwhelmed with embarrassment, Victor bites down on Alexei's arm. Alexei withdraws his arm, now questioning if it really isn't Victor, who vehemently says no. Victor argues he'd never do anything that could make Sasha look bad, causing Alexei to reconsider his suspicions. Victor scolds Alexei for boarding his carriage uninvited, but Alexei casually remarks that it's a nice carriage. Victor thinks this sounds like a villain's line, while a chibi Alexei looks confused. Alexei instructs the driver to stop at the royal castle for a meeting, as Victor protests that he'll be late for the academy. As their carriage heads to the castle, Sasha asks Victor why he's late, wondering if he stayed up. A promotional notice announces new chapters and staff recruitment. An elderly man leads a council meeting, preparing to discuss this year's social season. Prince Alexei looks profoundly bored during the meeting. He internally sighs, wishing he could get married soon and pass these tedious tasks on to Sasha. His thoughts drift to an elegant image of Sasha. He recalls that she still sees him as nothing more than a muscle-headed fool. He smirks, deciding it's convenient to let her think that, as there's no need to reveal all his cards. He finally remembers sharing a happy dance with a smiling Sasha. He admits to himself that he finds Sasha unbearably cute when she picks fights with him, though he'd never say it out loud. Back in the meeting, Alexei notes that Sasha seems to be scheming something herself, as an advisor moves to the final agenda item. A councilman discusses Nastasia Landroller's prophetic dreams, suggesting her power is better suited to the royal family, shocking the room. Another council member raises his hand, asking to speak. Nastasia's father formally offers his daughter to the royal family for a proper position, implying she should become the crown prince's fiancée. The council members debate the proposal, weighing Nastasia's potentially valuable powers against the political fallout of breaking the engagement with the well-regarded Lady Sasha. The elderly advisor turns and asks for an opinion. He directly addresses the crown prince. Prince Alexei begins to voice his objection. A new chapter opens on a grand, sunlit ducal mansion. A hand delicately works on an embroidery project. Natasha suggests to her mother that they embroidered the ducal emblem and a rose as a present for her father. Her mother loves the idea, but Natasha worries her skills aren't as good as her sister's. The Duchess waves off her concerns, asking Natasha if she can guess what Sasha's very first embroidery project was. She reveals a young Sasha embroidered the digits of pi on a handkerchief, a fact Natasha finds very unique. Her mother praises her for choosing a lovely motif, and they agree to work on it together, while a chibi Sasha feels left out. Elsewhere, Sasha focuses on her studies, determined to finish her reading, and an assignment from the king. Suddenly, a voice from the doorway announces an arrival. The butler, Lester, informs them that His Highness is on his way. Prince Alexei appears in the doorway, putting a hand on the butler's shoulder. The butler announces his arrival as Prince Alexei smiles and apologizes to the Duchess for the sudden visit. The Duchess is flustered by the unannounced arrival, while Sasha thinks to herself that the prince never understood the purpose of sending word ahead. Sasha closes her book with a sigh, wondering if the king has given her another impossible task. Prince Alexei stands with the Duchess, announcing that he came to see Natasha today. A surprised Natasha questions his request to see her, but after he asks to speak privately, she agrees to escort him to the study. Thump! As the door closes, Sasha and her mother are left standing in the hall, the Duchess looking shocked. Sasha narrates that from that day on, Alexei began summoning Natasha frequently, leading her to wonder if he had truly fallen in love with her sister. She often saw Natasha getting into his carriage after school. Sasha recalls that until recently, that was her role, as she walks solemnly through the academy grounds with Victor. Two female students gossip nearby, saying Sasha deserved it for being so proud, and that a villainess who bullies Natasha is unfit to be crown princess. Sasha breathes a sigh of relief, thinking she can now use her afternoons for her hobbies. Victor looks over at her with concern, asking if her plan is really going well. Walking ahead, Sasha confidently assures him that everything is going exactly as she wanted. Victor hesitates but then asks if Sasha is truly okay with how things are turning out. Sasha turns back with a bright smile, suggesting they go for a drink to celebrate the plan's success. Victor smiles warmly, offering to join her if it's for stress eating. As Sasha corrects him that it's a celebratory toast, a royal messenger approaches, summoning Lady Sasha to the castle. Sasha and Victor look up in surprise at the unexpected summons. The scene shifts to the magnificent royal castle as someone announces their presence. Sasha announces her arrival as she enters a grand room. Inside, she finds Prince Alexei and Natasha sitting together, the prince apologizing for the sudden call as Natasha greets her sister. Sasha notes with a pang that Natasha is sitting in the very seat that she always used to occupy. Feeling unsettled, Sasha formally addresses the prince and asks why she was summoned. Prince Alexei looks serious as he explains that he has something to discuss. A recruitment advertisement is displayed for Sherpa Studio. Prince Alexei reveals that Natasha has seen a prophetic dream of a great fire in the royal capital. Sasha is stunned by the news, as narration explains that Natasha's visions predict events within 24 hours, meaning a massive fire is imminent. Sasha quickly asks for details, and Natasha recalls a black spire against the setting sun, a westward wind, and the event occurring in the evening. Unrolling a map, Sasha quickly deduces the location is the clock tower in the Western District. As images of the city appear, Sasha considers that the Western District is a slum, and she asks if the clock tower is the origin point. Tracing the map, Sasha realizes the westward wind could spread the fire to the main street, causing catastrophic damage. Sasha declares they must issue fire warnings and plan an evacuation, which Alexei agrees to, stating he'll meet with the knights while handling the matter as instructed by the king. He then turns to Sasha, asking to entrust her with command of the evacuation planning. Sasha accepts the responsibility with a determined look. Rumors of the prophecy spread like wildfire among the commoners, who marvel at the young lady's amazing abilities. Sasha stands before the restless crowd, ordering them to move their feet, as she had already devised an evacuation plan for the entire district. She instructs the citizens to move quickly but calmly, prompting someone to wonder who the bossy little girl is. Sasha strictly enforces a one-bag limit, warning of confiscation, while a citizen recognizes her as the prince's rumored villainous fiancée. Though she can hear every word, Sasha shows no mercy, focusing entirely on ensuring the evacuation is as swift as possible. Embracing her villainous reputation, Sasha announces that she is in charge and will heavily tax anyone who disobeys her commands. As evening falls, Sasha stands before the clock tower, observing that the prophesied fire never happened. The evacuees grumble about the wasted effort as they head home, but Sasha watches them go, knowing the truth. She thinks to herself that the prophecy wasn't wrong. Their actions successfully prevented the disaster. With the prince commanding the knights in Sasha's evacuation plan, the city was on high alert, averting the unknown cause of the fire as a weary Sasha looks on. Later that night, Sasha lies awake in her bed, unable to sleep. Sitting up, she feels a lingering and profound sense of unease. A sudden, chilling realization strikes Sasha as she reconsiders Natasha's words about the setting sun and the Western Clock Tower. Her eyes widen in horror as she imagines the alternative. What if it wasn't the setting sun, but the rising sun? Sasha leaps from her bed, realizing her mistake. The Western District is made of stone, but the Eastern District is filled with wooden houses. She recalls that the Eastern District is where the poor live crowded together, and a fire there would spread in an instant. Panicked, Sasha bursts out of her room, ordering the startled butler to send messengers to the castle and the guards the Eastern District is on fire. Ha! As the butler rushes to obey, Sasha sprints down the grand hallway, determined to correct her grave error. Deciding a carriage is too slow, Sasha rides her horse, Prue, toward the Eastern District. Her long blonde hair flows behind her as she rides with purpose. Arriving at a village, she is horrified to see a building engulfed in flames. A crowd gathers and shouts about the fire, but Sasha wonders why no one is evacuating. Taking charge, Sasha dismounts and shouts to get the townspeople's attention. She announces a first-come, first-served distribution of flour at the royal castle square. Specifying that the vulnerable will get extra, she urges everyone to hurry to the castle. The news spreads like wildfire as people rush away from the danger. Soon, the once crowded street stands empty, with Sasha and her horse alone. Sasha smiles nervously, surprised and relieved that her impromptu incentive plan worked so well. Deciding to ensure no one was left behind, she walks down the empty street, calling out. She calls out again, growing anxious, and thinks that the guards should be arriving soon. A wave of intense heat washes over her as she gets closer to the blaze. Her eyes widen in horror as she spots a child in an upper window of the burning building and quickly glances at a nearby well. With a desperate cry, she lifts a heavy wooden bucket full of water. As she's about to douse herself, a man with black hair suddenly embraces her from behind. He gently chides her, asking if she's an ascetic monk for considering an ice bath in the cold. Stunned, Sasha looks up and recognizes the man as His Highness, Alexei. A stylistic interlude showcases intricate golden dragons, pausing the frantic scene. A flash of many faces from different walks of life hints at the wider world. Alexei holds a shivering Sasha, telling her she'll catch a terrible cold. Wah. He places his dark, ornate cloak over her head to keep her warm. Brushing him off, she urgently tells him there's still a child trapped inside the building. Alexei's expression turns serious as Sasha warns him of the danger, but he is already focused on the flames. Without a word, he dashes toward the fire as Sasha screams for him to come back. Helplessly, she cries out his name as he disappears into the blazing building. A knight approaches, addressing her as Lady Landroll, and reports that the prince went in to save a child before ordering his men to fight the fire. Sasha clasps her hands tightly, trying to convince herself that Alexei is too strong to be taken down by a mere fire. The terrifying scene triggers a painful memory, and she thinks she never wanted to feel this helpless again. A flashback begins with a view of a grand castle as a voice calls her name. In the memory, a younger Alexei in full armor holds her, telling her he'll make 2 promises. He holds her hands, making his first promise to return unharmed, and smiles as he mentions the second. She recalls the moment clearly. It was 5 years ago when she saw Alexei off to battle. His serious expression and his back as he walked away are still burned into her memory. As Alexei rides off, a younger Sasha tearfully prays for his safe return, while her sister, Natasha, calls to her. Back in the present, Sasha, now wearing Alexei's cloak, finds and calls out to Natasha. Natasha immediately asks if something terrible happened, and Sasha admits her prediction was far too optimistic. Sasha reveals to a shocked Natasha that the fire she foresaw was not the clock tower, but the Eastern prison. While explaining the residents have been evacuated, Sasha's voice breaks with worry for the prince as she and her sister run forward. A wave of concern washes over Sasha's face as she looks toward the fire. Alexei emerges from the burning doorway, safely carrying the small child he rescued. Natasha rushes to his side, exclaiming how worried she was as she sees him and the rescued child. Alexei asks Natasha what she is doing there, as the rescued child explains how her brave brother saved her from the scary fire. As the child trembles, Alexei tries to calm her down, explaining that she was pulled from the flames and is now safe. The teary-eyed little girl clutches her teddy bear, safe but still shaken. Natasha takes the girl into a warm embrace, gently reassuring her that it's not scary anymore. The child quietly agrees, finding comfort in Natasha's arms while Alexei watches on. Alexei stands back for a moment, observing the scene with a thoughtful expression. Sasha marches up to Alexei and grabs his collar, furiously demanding to know how he could be so reckless. He casually tries to brush off her anger by saying he's fine, but she angrily retorts that it's not. With a pained expression, Sasha insists that no one can replace him. She recalls hugging Alexei from behind as she thinks. And yet, in her memory, Alexei gently pats her head as she looks up at him. As the castle looms in the distance, she remembers calling him a meathead. He softly thanks her, noting that she must have been scared. Sasha gazes up at him, her red eyes filled with emotion. Standing together, Sasha thinks of all the other things she wanted to say. A young girl with brown hair excitedly points out that they're hugging. A woman with pinkish brown hair smiles warmly and agrees with the child. Returning to the present, Sasha remembers him grabbing her from the fire and worriedly asks if he's injured, but he dismisses her concern. She grabs his hand, revealing a burn, and insists on treating it immediately as he tells her to cool it down. Sasha panics, asking what he'll do if he can no longer hold a sword, while he looks down at her calmly. A chibi version of young Alexei looks dejected, as Sasha's voiceover says that's all he can do. While Sasha treats his hand with water, she asks what other skills he has, and he defensively replies that it isn't his only one. PF'd. Sasha stifles a laugh when he suggests eating fast is a skill, prompting a tiny chibi Alexei to yell at her for being disrespectful. Back in the present, Alexei states this proves Natasha's power is real, and Sasha agrees she must return to the castle right away. An angry crowd of commoners furiously demands their flower. A promotional notice announces new chapters and staff recruitment. A notice advertises more chapters available on their website. Confronted by the enraged residents, who call her a villainess, Sasha apologizes, admitting she lied to evacuate them from the fire. An onlooker announces the arrival of Lady Natasha, who appears with her mother. A reporter rushes toward Natasha, asking if she truly predicted the fire. Natasha's mother stammers as the press grills her, questioning if Sasha's incompetence nearly caused a disaster, but she quickly defends her daughter. The reporters now question if Sasha lied about distributing wheat, as she thinks to herself it was an emergency. Sasha watches the tense scene unfold with a troubled expression. Exhausted, Sasha tells the reporters she won't answer their questions and leaves, thinking she might pass out from a lack of sleep. As the reporters swarm, narration reveals that every newspaper jumped at the chance to write harshly about Sasha. A montage of newspaper headlines decries Sasha's arrogance and false promises, while Natasha's reputation as a saintess grows. Following the public's shift in opinion, Natasha is officially chosen as a candidate for Crown Princess. The scene shifts to the grand and imposing royal castle. Sasha confronts Alexei, demanding to know if their engagement has been annulled. He shouts back that it hasn't. They are now both candidates for Crown Princess, prompting Sasha to immediately withdraw. Slam. He slams a document on his desk, telling her it's not that easy. Sasha takes the paper from him and asks what it is. She reads the letter of appointment, which declares her the official tutor for Crown Princess candidate Natasha. Sasha accuses him of forging the letter, but he flatly denies it. She realizes they want Natasha as Crown Princess, but need to educate her first, because she lacks refinement. Sasha imagines a cunning minister suggesting she teach Natasha, only to be replaced as the fiancé afterward. She angrily argues that the undeservedly grand position should go to Natasha, who is truly in love with him. Sigh. Alexei looks away, quietly stating that he isn't in love with Natasha. Sasha stares at him, utterly stunned by his confession. Later, at a lavish banquet, a man proudly announces that Natasha has been chosen as a Crown Princess candidate. Her parents praise Natasha's heroism, calling her a daughter to be proud of as they celebrate her. They present her with a large bouquet of flowers and another gift. A blushing Natasha reveals she embroidered a handkerchief for them herself. Overcome with emotion, Natasha tearfully embraces her parents. She whispers that she feels like the happiest person in the world. Sasha claps with a forced smile, remarking on the beautiful sight of a saintess loved by her parents. Making an excuse about an assignment, Sasha quietly leaves the celebration. As she reaches for the door, a voice from behind calls out, "Sasha, that girl." A woman with brown hair thinks it would be better if the Crown Princess gave up her position. As Sasha reaches for a door, A thought expresses a desire to do so quickly, before Victor asks if she said something. Sasha dismisses his question, but he points out that she was frowning. Annoyed, Sasha thinks he has freakishly good ears, which prompts a tiny chibi Victor to indignantly object to her disrespectful thought. The scene transitions to a magnificent cathedral basking in the warm light of sunset. Sasha sighs contentedly in a quiet room, thinking it's the only place she can truly relax. She reflects that lately, she hears people whispering about her wherever she goes. Victor questions why Sasha is tutoring Natasha while busy with her own exams, but she insists she's happy to help Natasha become a worthy princess. He looks at her with concern, asking if she isn't taking on a disadvantageous role. Victor reminds a flustered Sasha that this entire situation started with her own plan. He continues, pointing out how seriously she's fulfilled her duties despite the negative newspaper articles. From Victor's perspective, he thinks that Sasha is truly a good person as she beams happily. Sasha laughs, playfully dismissing his high praise. Victor smiles warmly in response to her reaction. Sasha tells Victor that Natasha's training should be finished soon, noting that her sister is a dedicated student. As a curtain flutters, Victor calls out Sasha's name to get her attention. He leans forward and asks her to come to his place after Natasha's training is complete. Sasha looks up, startled by his sudden invitation. Her confusion is palpable as she stares at the papers before her. An advertisement announces new chapters available on the publisher's website. A notice seeks to recruit translators, proofreaders, and editors for the team. Victor clarifies his request, asking if she will come to him once Natasha's education is finished. Sasha remains stunned by his words, her eyes wide with surprise. Her mind races with a single, confused, huh. She nervously asks if he's proposing, and he tells her not to look so disgusted. He clarifies that it's a work offer, revealing his plan to start a trading company and asking her to be his business partner. Business partner. Victor smiles, encouraging her to think about his proposal. Narration explains that Natasha's education is progressing smoothly as she sits for a lesson with Sasha in the castle. Sasha begins a lesson on diplomacy, explaining Natasha's future duties as crown princess in receiving foreign guests. Natasha listens attentively as Sasha suggests they start with simple greetings. Sasha recites a phrase in a foreign language for Natasha to learn. She looks genuinely surprised, praising Natasha for her perfect native-like pronunciation. Natasha beams, thanking Sasha and crediting her as a good teacher. Sasha wonders how she learned so quickly, asking if she has traveled abroad before. She thinks to herself that it would be unusual for a commoner. Natasha begins to explain her background to a curious Sasha. In a brief flashback, Natasha tells a younger Sasha that her parents ran an international trading company, much to her sister's surprise. Sasha realizes Natasha's elegance and quick adaptation to noble society makes sense given her upbringing. Sasha cheerfully remarks that Natasha's natural talent has made the lesson more challenging. Natasha smiles peacefully, holding her textbook. With a faint smile, Sasha thinks that Natasha's education will be completed soon at this rate. An ornate carriage travels down a sun-dappled forest path. The royal carriage continues its journey through the woods. Inside, Victor thanks Sasha for agreeing to come with him. A caption explains Victor's proposal, a project to develop the territory of the annexed Holy Kingdom of Lily. The tragic history of the Holy Kingdom of Lily is recounted, a nation ravaged by war and left as a desolate wasteland. The carriage continues its journey through the verdant landscape. Victor's plan is to develop the ruined land and establish new industries there. Sasha looks out the window with a gentle, hopeful smile. Sasha's thoughtful expression lingers as she considers something more. As her carriage travels, she thinks that working in the Grand Duchy could be a blessing. Arriving, Sasha is shocked by the landscape, having heard it was desolate. She observes the barren land, noting how hard it would be to grow wheat, and Victor quietly agrees. Sitting amidst the cracked earth, Sasha looks on with determination. The scene shifts to the magnificent Landrol ducal house. Inside, Alexei sits with his arms crossed, an impassive look on his face. Natasha announces the arrival of Crown Prince Alexei, who looks up. With a gentle smile, Natasha formally welcomes His Highness. A surprised Alexei asks Natasha why she has come to see him. A tiny chibi Alexei asks for Sasha, while a fuming chibi Sasha imagined he would. Natasha realizes he came for her sister. Alexei begins to apologize for his visit. Natasha informs him that her sister is currently out with Victor, causing his expression to darken. As Alexei questions her, Natasha confirms Sasha went to the Grand Duchy with Victor. With a pleasant smile, Natasha adds that Sasha will be staying at Victor's estate tonight. Alexei wonders why Sasha would need to stay overnight when the duchy is so close. He stands abruptly, deciding he might go there himself. Pat! Natasha suddenly grabs his hand. She calls out his name, stopping him in his tracks. Natasha sweetly suggests that the two of them go out to clear their heads instead, but he remains stoic. A recruitment notice seeks translators, proofreaders, and editors. The scene changes to a beautiful, sun-drenched beach as waves lap the shore. Natasha excitedly calls for Alexei to look at the view. Standing barefoot in the sand, Natasha playfully thinks her sister would scold her for being unladylike. She smiles warmly, asking him to keep their outing a secret. They walk along the shore together under a clear blue sky. Alexei sits on the sand, looking out at the ocean as Natasha stands behind him. Natasha reiterates that her sister is out with Victor and staying at his residence tonight. A frustrated Alexei lies on the ground, annoyed that Sasha lectures him but is now staying over with someone else. Back on the beach, Natasha gets his attention again. She places a delicate seashell in his palm, asking if it's beautiful. Surrounded by flowers, Natasha looks up with a serene smile. She speaks to him with a gentle expression on the sunny beach, gazing at the sea. Natasha says it makes her feel positive, believing there's always hope for the future. A soft smile graces her face as she looks out at the light. The two stand together, looking out at the vast ocean. Alexei turns to her and asks what she wants. Over a floral background, she simply states she wants a present. Flustered, Natasha asks if it's all right to receive something so expensive. She beams with happiness, promising to treasure his gift. Alexei watches her with a faint, gentle smile. The scene transitions to a towering, ornate cathedral against a golden sky. Returning to their lessons, Sasha apologizes for skipping and vows to resume strict training. Natasha smiles brightly, saying she looks forward to Sasha's guidance. Sasha compliments Natasha on her beautiful new brooch. As Natasha turns away, Sasha looks on with a questioning glance. Sasha clenches her fists to begin the review, but Natasha hesitantly calls her sister. Natasha reveals that the brooch was a gift from the prince. Sasha's eyes widen in shock, her gaze fixed on the jewel. Natasha asks Sasha if she, feeling unworthy, should return the gift she received from Crown Prince Alexei. Sasha insists Natasha keep the brooch, telling her it's a gift. Sasha scoffs privately, noting that in 10 years, the prince never once gave her jewelry. Victor joyfully announces to Sasha that their grape transplant was a success, crediting her for the achievement. Narration explains their strategy. The duchy's poor soil produces high-sugar grapes perfect for winemaking. Sasha smiles, realizing they now have a unique opportunity to create wine in the region. Victor and Sasha agree on their next steps. He will gather artisans while she designs the winery. Victor muses that in 2 years they might both be living in the duchy, possibly with his future wife. Suddenly flustered by his own remark, Victor turns away as a confused Sasha asks what's wrong. To celebrate their progress, Victor presents Sasha with a small gift. Inside the box is a beautifully crafted silver fountain pen. Sasha looks at the pen, touched by its beauty. She gently closes the lid on her new gift. Blushing, Sasha feels deeply understood and silently thanks Victor. She can't help but compare his thoughtfulness to the muscle-brained prince. Her thoughts drift back to the prince's obvious gift to Natasha, which she finds irritating. As Sasha thinks about the prince acting according to her plan, Victor suddenly embraces her from behind. Completely startled, Sasha can only stammer in confusion. He apologizes for the sudden hug, prompting her to ask if he's trying to comfort her. Stepping back flustered, Sasha decides to call it a friendship hug. Victor smiles warmly, warning her that he won't always be just a nice guy. She takes his words as a threat, asking if he'll oppose her, which he quickly denies. He smiles gently, telling her to never mind, content with the moment for now. Walking together, Sasha suggests a company name, SV, but Victor warns her about potential trademark issues. An advertisement promotes new chapters and seeks new team members. A promotional image encourages readers to find more chapters on the website. During another lesson, Sasha praises Natasha's amazing progress. Sasha looks genuinely impressed, telling Natasha she remembered the material well. As Natasha thanks her sister, narration confirms her lessons are proceeding smoothly. The camera focuses on the elegant blue-green brooch Natasha received from the prince. Sasha watches her, thinking the brooch suits her sister while internally feigning indifference. A narrator's thought reveals that seeing this scene mysteriously brings a sense of calm. Knock, knock! Sasha closes her book, ending the lesson for the day. Crown Prince Alexei appears in the doorway, asking if the lesson is over. After Sasha confirms they've finished, Alexei tells her he needs to discuss something, and asks her to come with him. He specifies that his business is with Sasha alone. His sudden demand leaves Sasha looking utterly bewildered. Now alone with the prince, Sasha asks him what his summons is about. He cryptically asks if something happened, leaving a tiny chibi Sasha confused. Alexei gets to the point, questioning her about her recent trip to the Grand Duchy with Victor. He confronts her with rumors about her new trading company and her overnight stay, making Sasha realize word travels fast. He demands to know what she and his uncle are planning, but Sasha simply replies they are starting a business. A tiny, curious chibi Alexei presses for more details on the company. Annoyed, Alexei asks why she kept it a secret from him, calling her behavior weird. Sasha defends her right to trade secrets, but he argues that as crown prince, he should be an exception. His attention is suddenly caught by the ornate fountain pen Sasha is holding. Exasperated, Sasha wishes he would stop examining all her possessions. Their argument hilariously escalates as he accuses her of being with an abusive husband, and she fires back, calling him crude. Sasha turns the tables, pointing out his hypocrisy while he's busy giving jewelry to his new fiancée, Natasha. She confronts him directly for giving Natasha a jeweled brooch without even telling her. He claims he also gave one to her, but an enraged Sasha shouts that she has no memory of that ever happening. A flustered Sasha apologizes to His Highness Alexei. A guard informs Alexei that Lady Natasha has urgent business, and he grants her passage. A tearful Natasha arrives and apologizes to the prince. Natasha explains she dozed off and had a brief dream about the future. She recounts the dream. Her parents were arrested by the military, shocking Sasha and Alexei. Alexei questions why the Duke and Duchess would be arrested, but Natasha admits she doesn't know. Natasha insists that her vision of the future felt real. Sasha considers the gravity of the situation, realizing her parents would only be arrested for a major crime. Believing Natasha's dream is a true prophecy, Sasha realizes her parents will be arrested within 24 hours. Sasha resolves to question her parents, while Alexei agrees to gather information from his end. Alexei promises to monitor the military and says the Minister of Internal Affairs will notify him of any arrest. Sasha strengthens her resolve, vowing to protect the legacy of the Landrol Duchy. As she turns to leave, Alexei calls out her name, Sasha. He promises to immediately share any leads he uncovers. Sasha agrees, but internally she is scared of what the truth might be. She looks back at him, anxiously asking if her parents will be okay. He gently places a hand on her shoulder, assuring her that they'll be fine. Alexei confidently states the royal family knows her parents would never commit such a crime. He playfully teases her about geckos, and she quickly shuts him down. With a smile, Alexei points toward the exit. Sasha looks on, her expression softening slightly. Through the window, a grand carriage awaits them. Alexei turns and orders an attendant to prepare a horse. Holding an ornate dagger, he declares it's a race against time and prepares to depart. The sisters' ornate carriage travels through a lush, moonlit forest. Inside, a composed Sasha asks Natasha to recount the details of her dream once more. Natasha wonders aloud if their parents were arrested at the mansion. Unable to recall specifics, Natasha apologizes for not being more helpful, but Sasha reassures her. Sasha's expression is one of quiet determination. Natasha's brooch is revealed to be alexandrite, a gem that changes color. Sasha reflects that the rare gem was a gift from the prince to Natasha, a symbol of his love. Realizing the gem's meaning is duality, Sasha looks at her sister with sudden insight. Announcing their arrival at the mansion, Sasha urges her sister to hurry. Sasha steels herself, focusing on the singular goal of saving her parents. Natasha watches her sister with a knowing, subtle smile. A recruitment notice seeks translators, proofreaders, and editors for the creative team. A flashback introduces the head of the family, Igor Landrol, a gentle and hardworking man. The narrative introduces his wife, Natalia, their harmonious marriage, and their exceptional daughter, Sasha. The narration confirms that Sasha was truly excellent, leaving no room for complaint. The scene settles on an elegant tea set, indicating a peaceful moment. The Duchess remarks that it has been 10 years since Sasha's engagement to the prince. The Duke smiles in agreement, sipping his tea. They reflect on how quickly their daughter has grown up. The parents express their joy over Natasha joining the family, feeling the ducal house is more secure. The Duke praises Natasha's reputation among both the nobility and the common people. The Duchess raises a sensitive topic, wondering when they should finally tell Sasha. The Duke nervously suggests waiting until Natasha is officially confirmed as the prince's fiancée. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted as Sasha bursts in, urgently summoning them to the study. The Duke and Duchess look at each other in confusion. In the study, the Duke reacts with shock to Sasha's news, questioning if they're truly going to be arrested. The Duke turns to Natasha in shock, asking if what she said is true. Crying, Natasha apologizes to her parents, lamenting her inability to foresee their impending arrest. Sasha tells her sister not to apologize, and their father agrees, grateful for her warning. Her father proudly calls her a daughter to be proud of, as he and her mother comfort a tearful Natasha. Sasha smiles confidently while sitting beside Natasha and their family's butler. Relieved, Sasha believes her parents are innocent and concludes they must have been framed. Sasha instructs the butler, Lester, to bring her the current year's account books. She deduces that if the Landroll ducal house is being framed, the motive is most likely financial. A floral background frames her thought that the conspiracy is likely related to money. Lester presents her with a large ledger, which she accepts with a thank you. When asked if 1 year's book is sufficient, Sasha confirms she has already reviewed all previous years. As Lester expresses his admiration, narration reveals he is their most trusted servant, whose financial records Sasha reviews annually. Sasha focuses on the book, searching for anything suspicious, as Lester watches her with concern. Natasha urges Sasha to focus on helping their parents instead of counting money, but Sasha remains silent. With a determined look, Sasha quickly flips through the ledger's pages. The scene closes in on Natasha's resolute eyes, reflecting her own determination. Natasha urgently suggests her parents flee to their territory, but her father questions the idea of running from the capital. Natasha argues against fleeing, insisting they face the charges to prove their innocence, but fears they'll all be imprisoned. The Duchess looks horrified at the mention of prison. Thud, she collapses to her knees in despair as her husband tries to comfort her. Natasha reassures her mother of her faith in their innocence, but falters, her own uncertainty showing. She gently holds her mother, suggesting that, for her sake, taking refuge might be the safest choice. The Duke seems to agree with the plan to flee and appeal to the king later, but hesitates to commit. Sasha interrupts, calling her father foolish for even considering an act that would make him a criminal. Slam! Sasha closes the book, declaring they must leave the capital. When Natasha asks for another way, Sasha coldly asks if she wants their parents to suffer in a prison cell. Smiling confidently, Sasha declares there is a way, they just have to prove the charges are false. Bam! Sasha slams the book on the table, announcing to her shocked family that she has found 3 suspicious transactions. She points to a specific entry in the open ledger. Pointing directly at them, Sasha declares that someone has set a trap for the Landroll ducal house. A recruitment notice seeks translators, proofreaders, and editors for the team. Addressing her family, Sasha reveals the first suspicious entry relates to labor costs. She questions her mother about a recent exorbitant referral fee for a new servant. Her mother confesses she bought someone, leaving Sasha utterly stunned by the admission. A dizzy, chibi Sasha grabs her head, completely baffled by her mother's actions. The Duchess explains she hired a boy named Johnny through a trusted source with a proper contract, not as a slave. Sasha recalls seeing a tall, stable boy named Johnny, who she suspects is a minor despite his height. Sasha argues with her mother about hiring a minor, noting the age of adulthood is 15, while her mother dismisses her concern. The Duchess casually admits she doesn't know his age, prompting Sasha to despair over sheltered nobles. Sasha figures her kind-hearted mother was simply manipulated by a smooth-talking merchant. Sighing in frustration, Sasha pats her forehead as her mother watches. The Duchess looks on, with a hint of sadness in her eyes. She adds that her temperamental horse, Saliu, took a liking to the new boy, surprising Sasha. The Duchess recalls how Saliu immediately took to Johnny, shown in a flashback at the stables. Taking her daughter's hands, the Duchess looks down with a troubled expression. Sasha thinks about her beloved but difficult mare, Saliu. She admits that Saliu has seemed much happier since Johnny began caring for her, feeling conflicted. Putting her feelings aside, Sasha asks to see the employment contract. Sasha hums thoughtfully as she examines the document, her parents watching her intently. She discovers Johnny's date of birth was altered on the contract, a deception planned by the Telemans Trading Company. Sasha grows suspicious, realizing she's never heard of the Telemans Trading Company before. Sasha trails off, considering her next move while facing Lester. Lester confidently assures Sasha he will handle it, attesting to Johnny's quiet nature and strong work ethic. As a tiny Sasha apologizes, a chibi Lester jokingly requests a generous bonus in child support. Sasha announces to her confused mother that they will formally adopt Johnny, which will legally resolve the issue of employing a minor without a guardian. Her parents joyfully embrace her, praising Sasha's brilliant idea. Natasha, fingering the brooch on her collar, asks Sasha about the second suspicious transaction. Standing with her family, Sasha reveals the second matter is related to their medical supplies. Sasha directly asks her father if he bought some suspicious, dangerous drug. With a nervous smile, her father admits that he did, in fact, buy something. A tiny, determined Sasha instructs Lester to bring her the sales contract and the product itself, and he quickly agrees. Presented with a strange bottle and a contract, Sasha is horrified to recognize the contents as Lilith grass, while her father cluelessly asks if that's what it is. He explains he hid it in the warehouse, prompting an enraged, chibi Sasha to yell that he's acting like a teenager hiding a bad test. Sasha presses her forehead in disbelief, questioning why he would buy a suspicious drug, as he explains it was recommended as a secret remedy for headaches. Lilith grass has hallucinogenic properties and was designated a strictly prohibited, dangerous drug 5 years ago. Examining the contract, Sasha notes the difficult foreign cursive and concludes her father was likely pressured into signing it. She realizes the framers hold a copy as evidence, which could ruin their family if it becomes public. Her father looks down guiltily and apologizes to a weary Sasha. Sasha recalls his recent headaches and late nights, realizing his desperation as he explains he bought the medicine because he heard it worked. Looking defeated, her father laments that he is beyond help. Sasha looks on in thoughtful silence. She turns suddenly, startling her father, who calls out her name in concern. Sasha's expression shifts to one of grim determination. She recalls from a book that using Lilith grass as a hallucinogen requires a specific process of drying, powdering, and inhaling. Narration clarifies the grass was once a common medicine, and that the current law only prohibits it in its dried state, sparking an idea in Sasha's mind. A worried Natasha suggests they have no choice but to take the Lilith grass and flee to their territory. Sasha turns to her sister and calmly reassures her that everything is all right. With a confident smile, Sasha declares to her family that she will use the Lilith grass to make a legal medicine. Now with her sleeves rolled up, Sasha works at a table with a bowl of the herb as a confused Natasha asks what she's doing. Sasha explains she is making a warm compress. A tiny Sasha elaborates that the boiled extract has a mild sedative effect and is used in a folk remedy to soothe painful areas. The Duchess recalls having used a similar compress on her foot long ago. Holding the finished product, Sasha brightly declares that what her father purchased was not the illegal version of Lilith grass. As Lester claps in admiration, Sasha proudly boasts that as the kingdom's greatest argumentative villainess, twisting the truth is easy for her. Applying the compress to her neck, Sasha smiles and remarks on how effective it is for headaches. Her father, blushing and deeply touched by her thoughtfulness, stammers out a thank you. The Duke explains to Sasha that they just wanted to help her. His words strike Sasha, who remembers hearing someone say she should yield her position as crown princess. She reflects that, to be honest, it always felt that way. A flashback reveals her parents' distant attitude, as the Duchess thinks they never thought highly of Sasha and supported Natasha for the position instead. Natasha realizes with a start that no matter how Sasha spins it, she's covering up their parents' criminal acts. She worries that deceiving the king and prince will only lead them to commit an even greater crime. Sasha brushes it off as a minor cover-up, but her father remarks how bluntly she ignores the fact it should lead to an immediate arrest. Sasha refocuses, stating there is still a culprit who framed them, and she plans to report the matter directly to the king. She names the Telemans Trading Company as the culprit, and deciding it's best to inform Alexei, the scene shifts to the prince riding on horseback at night. A recruitment notice seeks translators, proofreaders, and editors. A promotional banner urges readers to find more chapters on the website as horse hooves clatter. Crown Prince Alexei rides through the night, his expression grim as someone calls out to him. In a flashback, a woman scolds the prince, calling him a gorilla and telling him to be more considerate of others' physical limits.